What's up? We're back. It's Ball or Nothing.
Oh.
I'm your host, Johnny Robertson. With me today, my two good friends, Jasper Grover, Edward Dunstan.
Howdy.
Yo.
How is it?
Good. It's, well, not a good weekend of footy for me.
Well, I think it feels like we're coming off bye now. So just for those who aren't aware, even though the bye weeks are finished, we had our bye week over the weekend.
Does this mean we're losing this game?
It could mean that this show is a massive pass. You can skip over into the next one. No, but I did still catch most of the games. I did missed the obviously the Crows and North, and then Freo and the Dogs. Having said that, though, those are two very missable games. Same with Collingwood and the Suns. It was just that one Bombers Port Adelaide game I wish I'd got the chance to watch.
Well, we were getting live updates, somewhat live updates.
Eddie, take us through your camping experience with limited reception.
I was having a lot of fun, and then I remembered at about I feel like 10 o'clock or something that Essendon was playing Port Adelaide, and I was like, oh, I should check the score. And so I think I checked the score with 5 minutes to go. Or no, I think at the start of the last quarter, and I think in front. And then, so for those of you who don't know the Cathedral Rangers, they are located near Marysville in Victoria. And they're delightful, beautiful, but they have like maximum like one tiny little bit of reception here and there. And so
I always downgrade my campsites based on the internet reception.
Yeah, I mean, like usually I go for really strong Wi-Fi in my
try and get like an Ethernet connection set up if I can.
Yeah, exactly. As you should. But
I'm surprised my enormous tent doesn't have one built in.
I checked, and then I would get sporadic updates here and there for the last quarter. And then it blacked out for maybe 10 minutes. And I was like, all right, it's over. But then it came back on, and Essendon was, I think, like 2 points up now with a minute to go. And I just saw my phone counting down each second. I didn't know what the score was or what they were doing, but I just knew we were in front by 2 points. And then we got to 0 seconds, and I was like, oh my God, we won. And I was like, I can't believe we did it. And then somehow, even though it was on 0 seconds, Port Adelaide's score went up again. I was like,
Eddie, I love, so we're all sitting around the campfire having some beers and chatting, and you're on your phone and you're watching the timer go down, and you can see the Bombers are in front, and you're like, I think we've done it. And all of a sudden you turn to me and you go, I don't know what has just happened, but somehow there's no time left on the clock, and Port Adelaide scored. And then we all hypothesized it must have been a kick after the siren.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys put that together, because otherwise I would have been like, okay, there's a problem with my phone. And like gone searching for internet. I'm like, no, it could have been a kick after the siren.
That's hilarious.
It was bad.
Yeah, it's a rough way of finding out as well.
And like, I only watched like a few highlights of the game the next day, but all the writing after the game has been like, oh, they put in such a great performance, and this and that, but we did still lose. And
if you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah, exactly. So
doesn't matter how close you were. So you don't believe in honourable losses.
I mean, I think I do. But I think what I think this means is that we needed to pinch a game like this against like because we've got other good teams coming up that we're against, that I just feel like we're definitely not certainties in, I'd say, pretty much any game except maybe against West Coast coming home. And we needed to pinch a game like this, because I reckon 8 out of 10 times Port Adelaide would beat us, maybe even 9. And so this was like a one shot to like, we played our best, they played not as well, and we still couldn't get it done. So yeah.
So this puts Collingwood and Port Adelaide 3 games ahead of Brisbane, who was in third. So I feel like they're now sort of in this their own sort of bubble or tier. Like, there's no chance that they're missing out on a top 4 spot, is there?
Port Adelaide, no.
No. Not 3 games ahead this late in the season, I wouldn't have thought.
So most likely the first couple of home games there'll be one in Adelaide and there'll be one at the MCG, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's pretty safe to say. So that's pretty huge because that means the Lions won't be playing their home game, which it's becoming a real fortress for them. So then the Lions, I feel like, are in the next sort of tier. And then Melbourne has seemingly sort of started to drop off a bit. They've sort of moved down into this
Well, they're going to keep dropping, I think.
With Bailey Fritsch out now.
We have Fritsch out.
And they can't seem to score. Yeah. And yeah, so Clayton Oliver re-injured his hamstring earlier today. And then you've kind of got the Saints, the Dogs, the Crows, and the Bombers who round out 5, 6, 7, 8. All in this sort of their own kind of, and you could even throw in like Geelong in there. Giant season is alive. I think that's it. I'm not sure that Freo and the Suns can get there.
I reckon Freo and the Suns seasons are still alive. I reckon Sydney, I mean, look, even a long shot of Sydney or Carlton could still technically make it. So I reckon Richmond is officially done.
You think they're done?
Well, just because it's not just their wins and losses, but their percentage isn't good either. So it's both the fact that they've only won 6 games out of 15 and their percentage is 95. So I think they're probably done. I reckon Carlton could still make the 8.
Well, Sydney plays Richmond tomorrow night. So,
well, put a line through whoever loses that game.
Yeah, that's it. So it's winning in and it's lose and definitely out.
Well, who's going to win?
We'll get to that later. I think.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. So let's round out. There's Rach in the background. Hello. Friend of the pod. Let's round out let's jump into the top 5 because I think it is really anyone's to win at this point. So I kind of thought, I came away. So like we were saying, we were away on the weekend, so we didn't see too much footy, although I did come back early on Sunday. So I didn't watch too much of Hawks and Blues.
Oh, what? You didn't want to watch a goalless half of football?
Jasper, walk us through that game.
Jasper, did you go back and watch that?
I did not. No, I haven't seen anything from it.
I did see that Hawks have only scored goals in one of their last 5 quarters.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Or no, in some sort of like time period.
Yeah,
because obviously they came away with 7. Yeah,
120 points loss combined over the 2 games, so they haven't kicked too many goals.
And I was saying on the pod last week, I had a feeling that the Blues were going to smash them, just only because the Blues love to beat up on bad teams.
But also the Hawks are very up and down this season, so
yeah,
they'll be up for a game or 2 here and there. They may not win, but they'll be competitive. And then they'll go down for 3 or 4 games at least, sort of thing. So after last week, I didn't think we're not the team to bounce back after a loss like we had last week against the Suns to then come back and make it competitive against Carlton at the moment. We're not that good.
Also, they were missing a key centerpiece yes.
Yeah, with him not in the team, it's night and day, especially in our defense. He knows how to marshal a team well back there.
I feel like it's not just that, but he distracts opposition teammates by like that punchable face. They're just like, I just want to like hit him. So.
You kissable, you mean? They had to smooch him.
Yeah, but the Hawks definitely missing Sicily.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's not a 10-goal.
No, but he's like, I think he's
a bit of a tone setter as well. Like,
well, he got 40 touches the other week, and he's like one of the best intercept defenders in the league. He's your leader. Like, I think there's lots of aspects where, like, if you guys were not going to lose one player, it would probably be him. So
yeah, but he's got to tackle people, and he plays life on the edge. So we're going to miss a few games with him every season until he smartens up. But no, not a good game overall.
So I did catch the Giants D's game from sunny Alice Springs, although not too sunny. I think it was 8 degrees on the day and raining.
The weather was deplorable, so
I didn't even know it could get to 8 degrees and raining in Alice Springs.
I saw the historic weather. It's never been like over 30 degrees a game that Melbourne's played at Darwin, at least. Yeah. In like 6 or 7 games. It's always been like
Darwin or Alice Springs because.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. In NT, the Alice Springs.
Because lots of people were saying, like, what did you expect? Like, people think that because it's in the Northern Territory that it's hot, but actually where Alice Springs is like it's, kind of going through winter like everyone else. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I did not know that. But the 47-45 final score, with Giants taking the lead in the final 2 minutes. This was my perfect kind of game. At least for me, like if I can go back at the end of the season and call the top 5 games of the year, I reckon this would be in my top 5. It had everything that I wanted.
A game that finishes less than 100 points is very dour.
And it had less of what you didn't want, which is goals. So
it's not about. I appreciate scoring goals. I just appreciate really good contested football. Jack Viney, 41 disposals. Tom Green, who is just such an elite player, 38 disposals. Petrarca was good. Cornelio was good. Himmelberg was good. The problem with the D's, though, is like they can only score through one player, being Bailey Fritsch. And now that he's out with a foot injury, probably for a few weeks.
7 to 8 weeks, I saw.
Is that right? I did not see 7 to 8 weeks. Wow.
He'll basically be back for like finals and that's it. So
they're probably going to have one of the worst forward lines in the league, I imagine.
I don't know. Cosy Pickett.
Ben Brown.
Brown, who's had
and they've got Jacob Van Rooyen. They have other Alex Neil Bullen goes through there and Jake Melksham, and it's a very like bit, like bits and pieces forward line versus like, I mean they had the same forward line 2 years ago and won a premiership, but I think this year their midfield is not doing as well.
I was going to say, I felt like their midfield kicked a few more goals in their premiership season.
Heaps of goals. Whereas, Gawn had a career best year, and Luke Jackson was probably good for like a goal a game as well. So
Petrarca going 0 for 4. His goal kicking's not great.
Deplorable. Like, what is he doing? Who does he think he is? Yeah.
He was one of the few people who did actually kick a goal on the weekend.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. He was 0-4.
I was just looking at the player stats.
No, 0 goals for.
He almost kicked a goal worth of points.
Oh, yeah, my apologies. 0-4 Petrarca. Yeah, 34 disposals. Okay. Never mind, moving on. My top, it was my number 2 moment of the round, was the Tom Green getting the ball in the final 2 minutes and launching it towards Josh Kelly.
Is that from the wing?
Yeah, from the wing, who just launched a 60-meter bomb into the goal square to score and win the game. That was awesome.
They were being really daring along the wings in the last couple of minutes. They were using it well, that space, I thought.
Yeah. And it showed. And the crazy thing about the game as well was that the Ds, which this doesn't happen too often, basically led in every single stat
I was going to say that. Yeah.
I mean, they kicked
except the goals.
15, like they had.
Yeah.
What's that?
Almost
nearly double. Scoring shots.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
It's just nuts that like they could their last 5 weeks regularly scoring 15 plus behinds against opposition is just nuts. Like it's unforgivable. Like they're just throwing away a season. They're a good team. They could be a force in September, but it's like really bad kicking and a kind of really dysfunctional forward line. So it's you'd be so frustrated if you're a D's fan.
Yeah, they're not living up to their potential at the moment, I don't think.
Yeah, because they're a good team, absolutely, like no doubt. But
they are not dissimilar to their premiership winning team. It's just not coming together this season for whatever reason.
Yeah.
They had 73 inside 50s to 46.
Yeah, I'd love to know. We need to get our friend of the pod, Sir Swamp Thing, on this about like the biggest difference in scoring shots for a team to lose, and difference in inside 50s as well.
I remember inside 50s. Usually, there's a stat that goes around that if you have in excess of around 60 inside 50s, you're a really, really high chance of winning the game. It goes up and up and up. And like I'd say, by the time you get to 70 something, it's like, if you don't win this game, there is, you've done something terribly wrong. Like Essendon, you guys might remember this game from years ago when Essendon was against Sydney and they kicked I think they were down by 50 points in the last quarter and they kicked 8 goals in the last quarter to get within 2 points or something. And then they did lose by 10 points in the end. But I think to that point, they'd kicked 2 goals, 18 or something like that.
Jesus.
It was just some crazy. It was I think one of the highest amount of inside 50s to lose a game.
Yeah,
that's ever been played, and so it was a wild game, and it's they stand out for a reason, those games, because one team played significantly better most of the day but still lost. So yeah.
And Ed, to your point, they last few games has been 15 behinds, 18 behinds, 13, not too bad. So it's sort of for whatever reason in the last 3 or 4 weeks, the scoring shots have really dropped off. They've got the Saints this weekend, so that is a must win because after that they've got the Lions and then Adelaide. So then they've got a bit of an easy stretch of Richmond, North Melbourne, Carlton, Hawthorn to finish, and then they finish with the Swans. So actually if you're looking at the last sort of 7 or 8 weeks, a lot of the teams that they play are in the bottom 8. So they could bail them out.
Yeah, I still think they'll be top 4, maybe top 6 at the end of the year. They're top 4, so...
so because John, you were talking about tiers and stuff before, and we think that Brisbane is pretty much a lock for top 4. So is Collingwood and Port Adelaide. Melbourne is there, but they're on even points with a couple of other teams.
Yeah, with the Saints and the Dogs, and then the Crows and Bombers are only.
Yeah, and there's other teams. Geelong's there as well. If Geelong win this weekend.
Against North Melbourne, which we should.
Probably, yeah. So,
should.
So it's so who do you think out of all those teams could make that 4th spot that isn't Melbourne?
I'd love it to be Adelaide, and I'd love it to be Geelong. Obviously, I don't see the Saints as a top 4 team, and I don't see the Dogs there as well. And the same with the Bombers.
It will be interesting though with the Saints because I feel like they have a pretty easy draw. So. They could fall, a team could fall into top 4.
Yeah, a team will. Any team that finishes 4th, they're falling in there, basically. Sure, they'll be happy to get it because, that's the cutoff for your double chance, but they're still making up the numbers, I think, from the top 3. Even then, I feel like Brisbane are probably...
But sometimes...
If they're not playing at home. There'll be upsets, but, these two teams...
They just have one of those days, where, Collingwood plays them and Collingwood just plays their worst.
Yeah, game. There's a 2018 prelim and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm just saying, right now, based on form.
Yes, yeah.
I understand that if one game wins all, there can be upsets. I get that.
It's a funny old game, Jasper.
Saints, similar to the D's, got a pretty favourable schedule. After the D's, they've got the Suns, but that is at the Gold Coast, so that could be tricky. They play North Melbourne, Hawks, the Blues, the Tigers, and then Geelong and Lions, who's who they finish with. So they've got to really hit stride now. Touching on Adelaide, though, they had an awesome win against North Melbourne on the weekend, which I didn't catch any of it, but I didn't really feel look, honestly, even if we went away, I probably wouldn't have watched it.
Who's watching Adelaide who's watching North versus anyone? There's no North game I'm eager to see. If they're up or even at halftime, yeah.
This game in particular it's Adelaide against a bottom 8 side in Adelaide is you can absolutely just not watch it because that Adelaide's going to win by about 10 goals because they are so good at Adelaide Oval. Not as good everywhere else, but they're so good at Adelaide Oval. So
Crows 6th time this season they've hit over 100 points. High-powered offense. And as I always like to report for North Melbourne, guess who led the team in disposals again?
Sheasel,
Ben Mackay.
Harry Sheasel.
I read this.
How's Ben Mackay going?
I'll tell you how he's going over the course of his career.
He hasn't racked up his 8th win yet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's had 63 games and he's won 7.
Yeah, he's 7-1 and 55.
Yeah, how crazy.
So he's had one draw and 55 losses. You heard that from me. I said that.
Yeah. Good one,
Breaking
Jasper.
But I found it online, so it all comes from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So he's basically going to take Cade Simpson's losing record and just smash it.
Well, he's got to play that many games. Cade Simpson played 340 games or something.
Yeah, true.
Hard to get to that level.
Ben Mackay's playing for the Bombers next year. If you've heard any of the trade rumors going on,
you're going to pay him $800,000 a year.
No, because we've got Adrian the tight ass Todoro.
Is that his official nickname?
Yeah. Well, he always apparently he's one of the worst people to deal with because he's always nah.
Yeah, there's always stories coming out every trade season for the last 15 years that he's been
there. Yeah. He's a prick. So. Which is good. He's
the Lions dismantled the Tigers in Brisbane. Anything to say there? I don't think so.
No.
Other than dynasty over.
We're going there again.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if you can say that again. You can't keep saying that. There could only be a one-time saying.
But you can keep reminding Tigers fans of it.
Yeah. Well, no, but I think this was just you stamp a letter, you write the thing on it, but this was it's arrived at the destination and it's gone. Richmond's gone. So, that's my. It was the what's the after the story, the prologue? No, the
epilogue.
The epilogue.
Epilogue. Yeah, it was the epilogue. So, and then they got smashed by Brisbane. And it was over, so.
I wasn't able to watch too much of that game because I was recording my other show, shameless plug. However,
you got to drop the name of the show if you want to actually plug it.
Saturday Air Raid, part of the NFL Lab Network. You can catch it on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube.
That's how you plug.
Thank you, Jasper. Thanks for setting that one up for me. But I did see before the show, Sarah Jones I don't think she was even trying to make a hot take or anything like that or a bold prediction, but she was like, I think Joe Daniher will kick 5 goals. And everyone was like, whoa. And Joe Daniher, 5 goals. I thought that was impressive.
I watched the game and he actually looked like he played a bad game, but he managed to kick 5 goals. He
always looks like he plays a bad game.
He kicked a couple of good goals on the run, but the rest of his goals were just he was kind of in the right place at the right time near the goal square, and he managed to kick 5, which it was weird because I guess he's the kind of player that when he's on, he's pretty good. But yeah, it was one of the worst 5-goal games I've seen. So yeah.
And Tigers in that scenario officially became the 9th straight team to lose coming off the bye against teams who are not off the bye.
We
can put that behind us.
To win off the bye. We will find out next year.
We'll have to wait until 2024. Lachie Neale, 34 disposals, 10 clearances and 2 goals.
He's still good.
Breaking. Lachie Neale, still good at football.
He's not talked about as much in Melbourne media, but he's a good player.
He's very good, and it's I did watch all of that game, and it was maybe it is just at the Gabba, but the Lions looked fucking good.
You watched all of an 81 point thrashing.
Oh no, I think I watched the last 3 quarters or something like that. So I watched when the game was completely over. But, I had because it looked like that Brisbane could win this by 100 and something points. Because
you were we were talking about last week about tuning in for a record.
Yeah, I had a bit of it had a bit of sadism about it, just kind of enjoying this demolition. So
a bit of Schadenfreude.
Yeah, exactly. But it didn't quite get to 100 points. But I lived in hope, so I did watch it.
Cam Rayner, mark of the year, sorry?
I haven't seen it. I didn't see any highlights at its 81 point.
I'll have to drop it in the chat. It was a fantastic mark. I think it could be in contention.
Maybe I did say it in Thursdays so long ago. I can't remember. But I can't remember it.
So thinking back to when I was saying that I think it was like our second episode of the year or third, and I was saying that Dustin Martin should have had a mark of the year for his center of gravity. Yeah. So I think we concluded that mark of the year should be you get a line drawn through you where your chest is, and however far north or south you go of that is how you get in contention for mark of the year.
Was that our conclusion? I just don't remember. It's not mathematical about it.
I think that's what we concluded. It's not always just about, because otherwise it's just about how high can you get mark.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be mark of the year. It's, how high can you get? So with this, though, he actually got very, very high. So,
so he ticks all the boxes.
All right, let's get to the most depressing part of the pod, and that is in my other top 5 moments of the round. It was the Geelong Cats coming away with 2 points from that shocking game. Which we had no right to win 2 points.
I would have said that in the third 3/4 time, but watching that last quarter, Sydney had no right even drawing that game in the end. Like they played woefully in that last quarter, and they still eked out the draw. So both teams lost, both teams won, as the draw should be, I guess.
In the first quarter, we allowed the Swans so much space. And this sometimes happens in Chris Scott's coaching.
Which is weird at the SCG.
Palace. Yeah, it was that we're like, okay, we'll give you like the short kicks and then we'll try and, our strong defense will win the ball back and turn it over and send it back the other way. And that's usually, and I did make a note as well during the game of like we were playing really well on the counter rebound through the corridor. But if we didn't get that counter, it was just all Swans in our defensive 50. And the first quarter, they played really, really well. And they bailed us out with those 18 behind. So the final score, 6-18-54 to 7-12-54.
Amazing. That's incredible. Yeah. 6 goals, 18.
And some of them were woeful misses.
There was one very, very close to goal.
Well, there was Robbie Fox in the end. And then there was Hickey is with the set shot as well.
I thought I counted like at least 3 missed goals from the Swans inside the 15 meters. It was actually like 4 or 5.
Well, they also had, double the amount of marks inside 50? It was like 17-9 or something like that. And they almost, if not doubled, then got close to doubling the amount of marks inside 50, which should be like an absolute dominance. And I guess it was in shots at goal, but didn't convert, so it doesn't matter.
Kicking efficiency inside 50, 64% to the Swans, 44% to the Cats. Man, we were bad. And free kick count, 9 to the Swans, 17 to the Cats. Just couldn't. Actually, that reminds me of the Giants D's game while we're on it. I think that they had like something like 15 more free kicks than the Giants. Anyway, we're done with that.
It was 20-11 marks inside 50 to the Swans. So 20 marks inside 50 should get you at least 10 goals.
Yeah. And that 50 meters mark in Sydney is like max 40 meters. So
are we unearthing a new AFL conspiracy theory here?
You don't? Do you remember when the 50-meter arc in the SCG actually converged with the center square? You didn't actually have
that does ring a bell.
Arc. So Jasper, not conspiracy, reality. It's not actually 50 meters.
So they didn't change the center square. They changed the 50-meter arc.
Yeah, I'm dead serious. Yeah. Well, actually, now that you bring it up, they could have made the center square smaller. But my theory is that the 50 meters is not actually 50 meters. So, yeah.
Tune in for Rules the World next week.
A changeable 50-meter arc.
Yeah. Shout out Brian Mize, who played a great game, though. And shout out Zach Toohey, who has now tied Jim Steins for all-time Irishman playing games. I wish I'd jotted down how many games exactly they've played.
Oh, interesting.
In the 200 and something. So
yeah, I think it's like 240 something.
Yeah, so he'll move ahead this week. Oh, here it is, 264 games.
Not bad.
It's a lot of games.
Respectable. So yeah, I thought like the Cats were good without Jeremy Cameron, considering. But my God, we were horrendous. So it worries me how we're going to go for the rest of the season, I think, with that
That's my question to you is, can the Cats make the 8 without Jeremy Cameron playing?
I mean, he hasn't kicked more than 2 goals in the game since, like, what was it, round 4? It's been
round 8 or something like that.
Round 8, yes. His dominance has dropped off a lot. We've got North Melbourne at home. The one thing that is working for us is we've got a bunch of games that we're playing in Geelong. So we play North Melbourne in Geelong. We play the Bombers in Geelong. Then we have to go up to Brisbane. That'll be an auto loss. Then we play Freo in Geelong and Port Adelaide in Geelong. And then we finish with the Dogs in Geelong.
Oh my God,
so that's a lot of games in Geelong.
Yeah, I was looking at that today. It's like, so is that what, 5 or 6 of our last 8 games?
Wow.
That's nuts.
5 games are all.
Just having 5 home games in 8 is pretty good, let alone 5 home games in Geelong. That's like at least wild. 4 wins right there.
Yeah, in fact, Daniher Park is not the fortress that it used to be, in my opinion.
But it still is somewhat of a fortress. Well, I don't know what a lesser building than a fortress is, but it's still high up there on a fortified building.
A castle with a little moat. But all things considered, like, we've just got to go up to Melbourne to play MCG with Collingwood and play the Saints, which will probably be at Marvel. Other than that, we're going to Brisbane to play Brisbane, but that's it. That's all our interstate travel done.
That's you guys are hearing that. I'm like, Geelong is absolutely going to make the top 8. They'll come like 5th or 6th, because like that is, you guys obviously had like faced a lot of harder teams earlier in the year, and obviously didn't play as many games at GMHBA, but that is like, you could not ask for like a better run in to, get into the finals at least.
Hard to say. Like, we play the top 3 teams. We play Collingwood, Port Adelaide and Brisbane. We play the Saints and we play the Dogs. We play the Bombers. All those teams are in the top 8.
But GMHBA, yes, I mean, you've lost to the Giants a few years in a row at GMHBA, but everyone else you've still beaten most of the time. So.
We lost to Freo last year at Daniher Park at GMHBA.
True.
Well, I mean, one of those teams is the only one to win a final at GMHBA, so...
Famous.
All right, Marge.
I couldn't help myself. So we'll move past that. And other than, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the West Coast Eagles, who played a very competitive bounce back game against the Saints. Saints are not, and this is what I'm saying, is like, Saints are not all that. Having said that, though, a bounce back game, you'd kind of hope that it was coming, given their performance against the Swans the week before, that they were going to be competitive. And the standing ovation from the crowd after quarter time was quite nice, quite a nice touch.
It's nice to see supporters.
They should have been throwing, bananas and,
Yeah, normally I'm used to seeing like the tirades down the players' race as they're going on.
Yeah, exactly. Spitting on players. Remember that one from Melbourne?
Great stuff.
Yeah, no, I think that was really nice, and because it would be so dispiriting losing by that much, and to come out and play a really good game, even though your players are shit, like, that's pretty awesome. So
so that breaks their streak of 40-point losses.
They
can start a new one now.
Yeah.
I really honestly thought that they were going to win that game. They just ran out of wins.
Yeah, so they look good. Like, I mean, and this was good kicking. They kicked 12-5 to St Kilda's 12-13. So goes to show how important accuracy in goal is. It was good seeing the young players get excited. I can't remember the name, but I think he was first-year player. And he kicked 2 goals and he was up and about. He was loving celebrating the goals.
Yes, let me grab his name because I also know who you're talking about and it has slipped my mind. Oscar Allen still kept his streak alive. Ryan Marriage.
Yeah, that's him.
Marriage. He's had a good first couple of games.
Yeah, he's good.
And then just the last note, which was actually my number one moment from the round, but we didn't get to see it live, which is a bummer. But the Dan Houston goal after the siren in the rain from outside of 50. Game on the line. It's impressive.
I watched it a few times and I'm like, we had all of our tall players there. It's like, I wanted to ask you guys, is it illegal for like someone to
jump on their shoulders or something?
Yeah. Essentially like take a specky.
Yeah. Not take a specky. I guess you could like jump off someone's back to touch it, but I don't think you could like
what
get
if
on
like,
their shoulders.
what if Andrew Phillips was like, he's crouching down and then another player runs and Andrew Phillips goes, oh, I'm going for the mark. But actually the guy jumps on his shoulders and like, touches the ball as it's, I mean, you have to be very well timed.
You have to be, that's like like incredibly, that's like Cirque du Soleil coordinated. It's not just like off the cuff. Hey man, now let's go. I'm gonna do a twirl and throw you up in the air.
But all they did was go like, ooh, and like try and get their arm up there or whatever. So like,
I don't know what else they could do.
I just told you, like give a specky to a teammate and like they can tap it. But it was insane. Like the kick was 60 meters easily in the rain.
Yeah.
And he's apparently actually had a pretty shit year in front of goals. And he was like, nah,
he's a defender.
Do it. And
is he?
Yeah. But he is a defender, but he's kind of one of those ones that gets up the field and he's had like I think he's kicked like 9 goals, 20 or something like that for the year.
Yeah.
And he it's made it look easy. And like they did the replay or whatever, and apparently everyone was like frothing about how the umpire like pushed one of the Essendon players out of the way so he could get a better view.
I did not see that, and I've watched it a lot.
I haven't seen that. I saw the
umpire
like doing his darndest to get a good view, like getting absolutely swamped.
Yeah, he goes like, no, they weren't saying that like he impacted the play, more like, oh, what a great umpire, he was getting a great view, like, and he pushed one of the players out of the way.
Yeah, it's good. Good stuff. I like his dedication. Yeah,
so I heard a debate. We should have it too. Could like
are we reenacting it or are we coming with our
yes, yeah. You're me, I'm you. No, but could this, like, would you pay a goal like this goal of the year? Because obviously lots of pressure. It's in the wet. It's like there's a degree of difficulty to it, but it's like it's not one of those ones where someone like bananaed it while on the boundary line or something. Could this be eligible or win the goal of the year?
I don't think a set shot can ever win goal of the year unless it's from like 80 meters out.
On the boundary.
Wasn't Jamie Elliott's goal from last year goal of the year? Or not goal of the year, but in contention for goal of the year? And that was that against the Bombers?
You mean the last time we got beaten after the siren? So.
Yeah. I was like, was that the Blues or the Bombers? I think that was the Bombers again.
Yeah, it was.
From the boundary. I think that was in contention. One of the finalists.
I can't remember. But
well, I think so, but so I'm usually wrong about these things, Ed. Sorry.
But I think, like you said, in terms of because you talked about how Dustin Martin's mark was like degree of difficulty was high. This one's pretty high too. Like, whereas like some other goals of the year are like that was chance, but like somehow it went through. So
I mean, if
skill like plays very little part in goal of the year and mark of the year. I feel.
If Matthew Lloyd backheeling a goal from 30 centimeters out can win goal of the year, then anything can.
It was quick.
It's not goal of the year.
You just don't like Matthew Lloyd. It's okay.
Who does?
All right. Well, how about, since we're still talking
not much.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt.
Yeah, go.
Just because we got trivia and it is very apropos.
Yeah.
So
hit it.
Okay.
With Port kicking that goal after the siren, they obviously became the most recent team to kick a goal after the siren. I'm looking at the list of every team's the time every team last kicked a goal after the siren to win a game. There's only one team that hasn't done it. Can you name them?
Hasn't done it.
See, I feel like you'd think the Suns, but I reckon Gary Ablett Jr. might have done it at some point.
Carmichael Hunt.
Oh, Noah Anderson did it last year.
Yeah,
against the Tigers.
Did it against Richmond. Yeah,
that's right. That was awesome. Okay.
One team hasn't done it. Hasn't won after the siren. Greater Western Sydney, are we thinking anyone from there?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it goes to Western Sydney just because that's like, expansion team, so they were the most obvious guess. So that was them. Every other team's kicked one. Essendon hasn't kicked one since.
It was like, I think it's like 1913 or something.
Exactly right, 1913. Can you guess the team that it was against?
Is it the Saints?
It was against University.
It was against University, a team that is no longer in the competition.
Yeah, I think
and has not been for.
Apparently, University at that point had lost 50 games in a row or something like that.
And then just one interest. This won't make you guys guess, but there's 2 games that are 5 rounds apart. So Hawthorn's last one was against Carlton, 2001, round 17, and then St Kilda's 5 games later was against Hawthorn into that round 22, 2001.
When was the Cats? I feel like that's been like 10 years.
Tom Hawkins.
No. Against who? In what year?
Hawthorn in 2013.
No, they've had one more recently.
Really?
Not too long ago. 2021, Western Bulldogs.
2021
round 14.
The Bulldogs.
I can't think of who it was. Was it like Mitch Duncan or someone?
I reckon Zach Tui.
No. I think it was Mitch
Let me
Duncan.
look this up quickly.
No, he doesn't know the answer.
Gary Rowan.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
right, Ed, let's come up with some new rules to improve the game.
Yeah, man. Well, funny, we should be talking about close games, in particular, going back to what you were talking about earlier about the draw. Now, several years ago, some of the best heads in the AFL got together and produced a brilliant idea.
Now, when we're talking best heads, are we talking like Jason Dunstall, like a big bald,
big dome,
big gorilla head?
Well, I mean, he's a well-respected man, but I'm thinking like, Gill and his buddies, and they got rid of the drawn grand final rematch and replaced it with extra time. So I
think about that every now and then. How crazy is it that we just played another game? That is baffling to me.
And not an extra 5 minutes.
Yeah. In the 21st century, they just never thought that, even though it had happened in somewhat recent history, they were like, no, let's not bother looking at this rule. Let's just play a game again.
It's like when people have some legal thing come up and then they're like, oh, no, there was this thing in like 1826 that had this law that affects this thing. You're like, oh, it seems irrelevant. But
anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to distract.
So that's okay. No more are we going to have a situation of 2010, that anti-climax when St Kilda and Collingwood went to war, as Nick Maxwell said, and just end up in a stalemate. So now keep in mind, I think having extra time during the season would be unfair to create a lopsided draw with some teams playing longer quarters and games. So I think that's out of the question during the season. But I have worked around this and created a few solutions that I think could not just improve our game, but grow it as well. So now my first one acknowledges that the players out there they'll be spent, and we can't have this lopsided draw. We can't have them playing more time during the season. They need a physical break, but there are at least 2 people that are coaching these teams with previous AFL experience. So my proposition is, if we have a draw, we have a 1v1 battle of coach versus coach that starts in the middle with a ball up, and it's first coach to kick a goal on the field. What do you think?
Well, are they all ex-football players?
They have played at least some football in their life.
They're vaguely familiar with the game.
No, as in like Neil Craig, like he wasn't an AFL player, but he played in the SANFL. All coaches have played some footy.
Chris Fagan, has he?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, well, someone like Fagan is at great disadvantage to playing against someone like Andrew McWalter, who retired like 5 years ago.
How interesting, though, because then are you looking, when you're hiring a coach, you can't have you could have the best coach, but if he's too old, if you have a draw, you might lose. And so, like, would you hire based on their youth and recent experience of AFL in this case?
I would say Carlton is exactly the only team that would hire a coach based on the hope that they would have to play in a game that they draw. It happens once every 3 years?
No way, once a year, easily.
No, that team is going to play in a draw.
Okay,
there's maybe 2 or 3 draws all year.
But I mean, if Carlton last year were in a draw in some game, they would have made the finals. So, and that could have sorted them out. So,
but if they had a worse coach just based purely on their physical ability to beat another coach out of a game of football, how are we do? Is it 1v1? Like
it's just 1v1
on the whole ground? So they play ruck?
on the whole ground. So it's basically just like
so whoever wins the ruck contest is going to basically
like you get tackled.
So then you go for the tallest X player.
No, but it's like
Sanderlands is going to come back.
But it's like okay, they're old, so they're not going to be able to like run that fast. They'll have to kick it and then like probably run onto it again. But then the other player can get him, and then it's just going to be a back and forth. The crowd's going to be on their feet. It's going to be wild.
It would either be a goal in a minute or like it would be 15 minutes of no goals.
15 minutes of like ball ups.
Anyway, I've said my piece.
My question is, what happens if one of the coaches gets injured and then are they able to coach next week, or are they out again? Like, does the team have to make an executive decision to bench them in case it comes down to another draw and they need another coach ready to go, ready to play?
I mean, it's not that taxing being a coach. You sit in a box and like on the telephone. You could do that from home if you need to.
Like, no, but what I'm saying is if they so say they come down to a 1v1 and one of the coaches gets injured in that, well, the team has to then make a decision. Okay, next week, do we want our head coach coaching the team, or if we come down to another 1v1, we want someone to be healthy?
You know, yeah, exactly. So you get your backup coach. So maybe it'd be like more co-coaches.
So you'd have to bench your coach just in case it comes down.
Yeah, because he's like, sorry, mate, you're not fit enough to possibly play today.
You're not physically fit to come to this game.
No.
I like it.
Okay, well, let's we'll shelve that one for now. But what I want to do is I want to bring our competition into the 21st century. And so a few years ago, you might remember that Essendon had an esports linked team that was scoffed at by some.
The fancy gadget type operators.
Yeah, so
that's how BT called them when he was interviewing them.
I say that they were ahead of their time. I think each team should have their esports team, and in a scenario where a draw happens, the esports team then takes over and they play, you know, the most popular game at the moment, let's say like a COD or a Fortnite or something like that.
Would it not be AFL 23?
No. I thought like we want to engage the youth, the gamers and everything like that.
Oh, that's true. And no one's playing AFL.
No one's playing that game. So, and so the esports team would decide who gets the premiership points of that draw. So we engage the youth, the gamers. This is a win-win. What do you think?
So this was this is what the NFL did for the Pro Bowl during COVID lockdowns. Rather than have a Pro Bowl, they actually just all played Madden.
Yeah, I think something happened with F1 as well during lockdown. They had F1 races compete against each other.
Well, this one would be bringing it into non-COVID times, and you know we're always trying to get the youth, you know, out there doing something with their lives. This could be deciding AFL premiership points.
So this is this is a grand final, 108,000 people there.
Mm-hmm.
And then a draw grand final, everyone's on the edge of their seat, and then we all just gather to watch them play like Nintendo 64
No.
on the big
screen. The grand final I mentioned earlier, that'll have extra time because like
okay, right.
But the prelim absolutely could. The prelim.
So 89,000 people at the prelim are going to be bated breath.
And then they've got to go onto Twitch and like watch the watch them play StarCraft 2. And
so you don't even get to watch it live. You have to watch it on your phone or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's really immersive. People are going to love that.
You have to be under the same intranet, so you can't actually watch it unless you're at the stadium.
Everyone's on their phone all the time these days anyway. So
everyone at home can't watch it. They have to watch it on delay or something.
Yeah. Or you want people tuning in the live broadcast. So there's that. I think my final one though is a piece de resistance. So football's often been thought of as a game of brawn, but I think our best players have also had brains. Think of the Brendan Gales, the James Hirds, one might say, the Chris Judds, the Nick Hollands, all are intellects.
The Kane Corns.
The Kane Corns. The Matthew Lloyds, maybe not so much.
The Warwick Kappas.
Yeah. So my pitch is that in the event of a draw, we test the players' knowledge or their brains to give their bodies a rest. So, and the knowledge test would be that we put the players through an AFL-based trivia competition. So each team would now have to look not just for on-field smarts, but off-field smarts.
Well, it would really reward listeners to Ball or Nothing, where there is a weekly trivia question.
Exactly. Your AFL players would have to be well-versed in the history and all the stats and everything of the game.
That's why they listen to Ball or Nothing.
Who was Essendon playing when they won? Won after the siren by a point in 1913, and it's like Buddy Franklin puts his hand up, and he's like, "It was university." And you have this amazing trivia competition. Everyone gets involved. The crowd is cheering, and brains are once now respected in the game. So yeah.
So none of these methods involve any more actual football being played.
No, because we don't want to tire the players out. I think it would make it unfair.
I'm surprised that you didn't go for the low-hanging fruit of why don't they play like horse, a game of horse after the game? You get your best goal scorers.
No. I mean, what if a player pinged their hamstring kicking for goal after the game had finished?
Has a player ever done their hamstring kicking a goal?
Also, why are we concerned about the couple of minutes after the game and not the entire previous 4 quarters?
No, because I think it's just okay. We're creating too much risk for the players than playing that extra 2 to 5 minutes or whatever. So I'm thinking we got to stretch out. We got to think outside the box. What other games can we incorporate into our game to decide our draws? Which
pub trivia makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So pub football-based trivia.
Is it going to be fully like pub trivia where there's questions where you have to listen to a song, and you have to guess what the team song is, or you have to draw, there's a drawing or something, you have to work out what it is.
But it's also, you got to work out. So it's 1v1, and your entire team goes through. And so it's and so do you put your dumbest player first, or do you put your smartest one, or
so it's a 1v1 per question, and then it's new players up for next question.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down. I love myself some pub trivia. I don't know if it's as exciting as an actual game of football that is just been drawn.
So it's each player has a microphone, and they're shouting.
I think it was Carlton in 1962. Yeah! Crowd goes,
oh my God, he did it! No one thought he knew that question.
Yeah, I'm talking myself into it. I'm down. I want some competitive trivia.
Just imagine, so it's Geelong and Sydney are puffed out, and then they're like, "Oh,
does that become a factor into having to answer questions?"
Yeah, it's
I can't.
Yeah, your brain. But also, Patrick Dangerfield seems like a smart guy, but plenty of football players don't seem that smart. So you're you want to play this well and make use of Patrick Dangerfield,
Well, maybe he might prove himself to not actually be that smart. He just appears that way.
Oh, he's all talk, and he becomes the worst trivia player ever.
Yeah, he's like Christian Petrarca in front of goals.
Yes, his trivia hit rate is just awesome.
Do we have another stat for guesses right and wrong, and who's really good and who's really bad?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I reckon that's a winner.
Yeah, done.
Thanks again, Ed. Another fantastic.
Really great.
That was exciting as a game of trivia after a drawn game.
All right, let's jump into round 17. 8 weeks to go. A couple of very good games that are going to be quite decisive. A couple of not so good games. I think we do have the Brisbane Lions playing the West Coast Eagles, which at one point was one of the highest betting margins ever recorded in footy history, or sort of nearly there. But to kick off Thursday night, Swans are going to the MCG to play Tigers. We talked about it earlier as this is not so much a win and in, but a lose and your season is basically over.
Yeah, it's a glass half empty game.
It's going to be hard for Swans to win, I feel like, at the G.
Is Buddy playing?
Yes,
he was in training today.
This may be his last game at the G.
I think there could be a bit of emotion in it then.
Possibly. Is he going to kick a goal?
Jeez, it's a lower bar these days. I actually think the Swans could win this game. Tigers are 5.5 point or 4.5 point favourites.
Wow.
Yeah, I reckon Tigers by 3 or 4 goals.
I reckon Swans. I feel like the Tigers are cooked after watching them the other day. I reckon Swans are playing better. They'll beat Richmond on Thursday.
Yeah, Tigers have a few injuries. The Swans also have a few injuries, although not as many. Like we were saying, they've got a few players coming back. I just feel like both teams are coming off such bad losses from last weekend. They really both need to win it. But yeah, it should be. I think it should be a good contest.
I think same deal on Friday night.
Same deal on Friday night. The Dogs are playing the Pies at Marvel.
Huge.
Could be a good game. Like, this could be away from the G aren't as explosive as they are at the G.
This seems like the kind of game that the Pies drop.
Ooh.
And yet that may be all the more reason that they just win it anyway and win by 5 goals.
Yes, also entirely possible.
Yeah, I don't know which way to go on this. I reckon they'll win still, but I couldn't tell you by how much.
I reckon Pies will win.
Dogs have sort of struggled a little bit without Liam Jones and Jason Johannesson in the back line. Good win against Freo
last week, though.
Good win against Freo, especially in the fourth quarter when they kicked 7 goals in a row on the trot. Crozier is still out. Still a few outs for them. I think that Freo have done pretty well recently coming to Melbourne or Victoria to play football. And they lost. I don't think Nat Fyfe is going to play. He got injured against the Dogs last weekend. Having said that, he hasn't been a huge impact player. And outside of that, they really don't have any other injuries to speak of.
With the Dogs and the Pies, I was just going to say, if you're going to have a couple of backmen out against the team, Collingwood's not the worst one to have them out against because don't have huge key forwards or anything. So I think that's not where they'll lose the game. So,
did you see a report that Tom Mitchell? I think it was David King reckons Tom Mitchell might get dropped soon.
Really, I did not see that. No.
Explosive headlines, and it was I think it was in Big Footy.
Do they have like that? The only reason I could say getting dropped is if they had someone absolutely killing it in the VFL. That would be not come in based on form. Yeah.
But also, he's good depth to have anyway, so that's nice. Good for him.
Yeah. So Sidebottom still out, Myercheck still out, Maynard out.
Okay. My favourite question of this round coming up: how many goals is Brisbane going to beat West Coast by?
Not as many as everyone's guessing. They are just looking on the AFL website that's littered with betting ads. Brisbane Lions are $1 favourites. That means you get no money back if they win.
Surely you'd get something back, right?
It's saying 1.00. So
yeah, no, but maybe it's like 1.0.
Well, yeah, it would be because they would just say not taking, or they should just say not taking bets because
the Lions are 80.5-point favourites.
Because like if you did get if it was like 1.01, if you bet like $1 million on that, you get $10,000 back. So
that's good odds. I'm definitely risking $1 million to win $10,000.
I mean, I don't have $1 million, but if you did, never bet it on Brisbane. So
Jasper, Hawks are going to New South Wales to play the Giants. Any thoughts on that one?
Probably another 40-point drubbing coming up. So take our total losses in 3 games up to.
Is Sicily back?
Nah, I think he's at one more game.
One more game. Giants are 27.5-point favourites, which should be good. And Ed, the Bombers playing the Crows in Marvel Stadium as well on Sunday. You looking forward to that one? That's going to be a big game. That's 7 versus 8 on the ladder.
I think Ball or Nothing will have in-person presence at a football match on.
Are you going, Johnny?
So, yeah,
I wish.
You can't get enough of the Crows. I'm excited. I think it should be a good game. I think we might just win.
Your favourites.
I think I only say it because this season has told us that the Crows are a great team in Adelaide and a decent team in outside of that. So, and I think we play Marvel pretty well. And so I reckon we'll probably just beat them. And I don't think their strength is their forward line, and our backline's actually been playing pretty well. So I'm hoping that Peter Wright comes back into a little form because he hasn't kicked a goal in a couple of weeks. And I think Sam Wiedemann, our other key forward, hasn't kicked a goal in 5 games. So
that's not great.
It's not great for a key forward. I'm really curious, this final game, do you think Carlton can beat Freo And if they do, is the Blue Bagger train back on track, or are they still shit?
I reckon if they beat Freo, they finish 8th, possibly. Like I don't know what the rest of their run home's like, but it does put them slightly back, not fully back on track to where they should have been, what everyone thought they were going to be before the season started. But it's better than losing.
Winning is better than losing.
It's you get that kind of great insight listening.
That's like you've been involved in making those like Chinese cracker, like the what are they?
The fortune cookies.
Fortune cookies. Winning is better than losing.
Attributed to Ball or Nothing.
Yeah. You're looking at like t-shirts.
There's a promo idea for you, Johnny. Let's get fortune cookies made.
I can't believe we haven't thought of that for promoting the shows.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever? This is a pretty actually fucking good promo.
Just with
because someone might steal this idea.
A random Ed from the show quote.
Just rule of the week. Robot umpires.
Yeah. No, I still think that having a quote attributed to you, Jasper, on a t-shirt of winning is better than losing is pretty good.
I'd just be like,
no, it's like you like meditating and like having.
I'm watching like a game of footy. Anyway, yeah, we can design this up.
Yeah.
So the Blues have to go to Perth to play Freo. Then they play Port Adelaide the following week. They'll play West Coast, which will be a nice reprieve. But then they play the Pies at the MCG. So if they win, they'll probably win one of the next 4 games, but if they win 2 of those 4, and then the Saints, the D's, if they can win 3 of the next 6, that'd be impressive, I think. So I think the season's done. I don't think they beat Freo in Perth.
Yeah, I still, in saying that, I still think Freo will win, and I hope they do.
Keep their season alive.
Yeah. I'd much rather keep their season alive than fucking Carlton, who cares about them.
Exactly. Thanks for coming on board. And how do we feel?
It just took it until they thrashed us for me to get on board the anti-Carlton.
All right, that's going to do it for another week of Ball or Nothing. Thank you for tuning in. You can catch it on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Looking forward. So for Eddie, enjoy the footy this week. Hope you get
thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will. I thought you said any, and yes, I will enjoy the football.
Anyone enjoy the games out there.
Anyone who's going to the footy, travel, be safe, enjoy your footy. We'll catch you next week. Bye for now. That's great.